Welcome to the Survivor's Chair podcast, a podcast where we break down our stories and our trauma, understanding how they have impacted our career and our life. This is a place where we break free from shame, own our truth, and step into our power, one story at a time. Hi, I'm Kim, an adoptee, a former foster youth, hairstylist, salon owner, breast cancer, and complex trauma survivor. So join us, pull up a chair, in this no sugarcoating, no holding back, honest conversation about healing and success. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Survivor's Chair podcast. I'm your host, Kim Russell, and today I am going to talk about something that's still very hard for me. And that is the art of doing less. You know, it's been one of the hardest lessons for me to learn, and I'm still learning. For so many of us, especially those of us who have lived in survival mode our whole entire life, we led teams, we raised families, we ran businesses. It's how we felt valuable, needed, and probably in control. I was definitely a control freak. So what happens when you stop doing all that stuff? You stop the busyness. When your body says no more, like mine did with cancer, but your mind is like, you got to keep going. And that's kind of where I found myself the last couple of days. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is the third time I'm recording this podcast. I typically would have it out on Monday. It is now Wednesday, and I'm just recording it. Probably won't get it out until Thursday or Friday. And that's because I needed to rest. And I really don't know how to do that. So we're going to talk about that today. I think the biggest misconception is the high achiever, or as we call the type A personality, that you just have this ability to just keep going no matter what. And everybody sees that as success. You see it as success. And you're really exhausted. You're disconnected from your entire life, and you really don't know how to stop. I didn't know how to stop. When I was running my business, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. If you wanted a successful business, you had to work 12, 13, 14 hours a day. You had to work until you physically couldn't stand up anymore. I thought that was what it was like in my relationships too. For my relationships to be successful, I needed to give all the time. I needed to put myself on the back burner. I've talked about this many times, but I was supposed to caretake for everybody else. That's what made the relationships successful. I say that in air quotes if you're just listening. What we're missing when we're doing that busyness, there's a couple things that we're missing. We're missing our body's ability to repair, because that's what it does when it rests. That's what it does when you're sleeping. It's the best medicine in the world. I wish I knew that 100 years ago when I thought I was a champ, sleeping just a few hours a night and getting so much done. And the other thing is, that might not be so great. I find it to be challenging still, is that when you stop and you get quiet, that's when the emotions come up. And I think for a lot of us, why we keep going. And what happened to me this week on 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, I was exhausted. I did a lot of gardening on Sunday. I was out for like 5 hours, 6 hours, pulling weeds, really physical. The thing that I don't understand still is the cancer fatigue thing that everybody talks about. And I'm like, oh no, that doesn't exist, right? But it is more than real. And it hits you out of nowhere and you just can't function. So that's what happened to me. And I think I did so much on Sunday that I was physically exhausted Monday and Tuesday. But what I kept doing was I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to record a podcast, which I enjoy doing. And I plopped myself down in front of the computer and I recorded. And nothing about it was genuine. It was forced. It was not real. And I was doing it because that was something I was supposed to do. And I didn't want to disappoint anybody by not having it out on time. So to tell you that I'm still working on that stuff is an understatement. And then Tuesday, it came along. I'm like, Tuesday's a new day. It's only one day. that it'll be okay. And I still couldn't do it. And both days I forced myself to get on the couch, to turn the TV on and rest. And what came along with that, feeling like I had to do that. First, I was mad at my body for not being able to push through like it always has. And I was mad at myself for not being able to do that. Like I felt like in some way I was mentally not tough enough. What do you mean you just can't push through? What do you mean you gotta lay on the couch? What? I don't lay on the couch. But I had to listen to my body. I'm like, clearly something's going on. I didn't know what it was at the time. Clearly something's going on and I have to just get on the couch. And when I got on the couch and I turned the TV on, I was asleep in about 5 minutes. Second day, it was much easier than the first day. And I didn't sleep long. It was probably about 30 minutes, but it was just enough for me to feel refreshed. And people have said that my whole entire life. They're like, I love a mini nap. Are you kidding? I love to nap. I could never understand it because I am not a good napper. I'm a grouchy napper. If I slept longer than half an hour, even though I'm not sure because I haven't done it in a long time, but I probably would wake up cranky because that was always my thing. And the same thing that happened to me on Monday is I'm mad that I had to do it, even though it's the best thing for my mind and body. And I beat myself up on Monday. How come I can't push through? This is ridiculous. You have so much to do. You can't put it off another day. Your podcast is going to be late. People are going to be waiting for it. And that's another piece of it. I never want to disappoint people. And I still find myself going to that place. And I have to remember that I need to be first. So it's a constant reminder. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that struggles with that. But that is so hard. It's so hard to slow down. And even though it's been 4 years since I closed my business and I feel so much better now, but right afterwards, and even before I closed it, when I was making the decision to close it, I kept thinking, who am I without this business? Who am I if I'm not a salon owner? Who's my people? Who's my crowd? Something I still struggle with right now as far as being in the beauty world. Where do I fit in? I'm a hairdresser still. I work 2 days a week and I have my own little space. But like I've said before, having your own little space and being responsible for just yourself is way easier than managing a team of, 10, 13 people, schedules, orders, sick time, anything that comes up, client stuff, a million things. And doing it on your own, piece of cake. But I still don't know where I quite fit in the beauty industry. But it doesn't have anything to do with the beauty industry. It has to do with me because my whole life I'd been in the beauty industry and that's what defined me. So I don't know what defines me anymore. So when I slow down, when I rest, those are the things come up. Like I'm not that overachiever. I'm not that type A personality anymore. I'm not sure I ever was. I was just trauma was running the show in every area of my life. What it did is it kept me in that fight or flight mode. So when you come out of that fight or flight mode, it is just so peaceful and so calm. Like you almost don't know the difference between exhaustion and rested. Honestly, I'm going to be totally honest with that. I don't know if I'm exhausted or I'm just a calm, rested human being at this point. I have no idea. I'll keep you posted on that. But when we pause, when we rest, when we give our body what it needs, we're repairing. And what I've come to learn is that rest is really important for my health, right? It's important for all of our health. It's when our cells rejuvenate and all of those wonderful things that our body does. When we give our body what it needs, it responds in such a positive way, tolerating that stillness, that quiet, that rest is really, really hard. And the other thing is that rest is part of your overall health. And what I'm coming to realize is there's no way I could have taken care of myself working the way I was and doing what I was doing. There was no way. There's not any time. So when people say, I don't have time to exercise, it is absolutely true. They don't have any time to exercise. And I don't care if you can find the 5 minutes or whatever. It's not that you can't find the 5 minutes. You have to push something else off. Those of us who aren't exercising, you have to push off the caretaking of other people. You have to push off the people pleasing of other people. That's when you have time. But other than that, you don't have time. I was getting up at, 5 o'clock in the morning to do it. And it was doing the opposite. It was raising my cortisol levels. It was stressing me out even more. The type of workouts I was doing was stressing me out even more. But it's all I knew. I felt like I had drive. I felt like I had motivation. And so that motivation was really just masking my trauma. That's all it was doing, was just masking. It was pretend. It was pretend motivation. Not completely, because I am a motivated person, but it's different now. My motivation and my job and my success came out of, that's how I valued me, and that's how I valued my life, and that's how I got value from other people. That's how I got validation from other people. I was afraid to slow down, because if I slowed down, I'd have to really see myself. Nobody really likes that. And when I slowed down, I felt like I was weak, like I couldn't handle it. And that was something that even this week I struggled with. What's wrong with you? Why can't you push through? Like, what's the big deal? Do the laundry. But I just couldn't. I needed to lay on the couch. As always, I want everybody to know that they are not alone out there. And I think it's really important that we share our struggles. I think it's important that we share our triumphs too. I don't think enough of us share the struggles. Then we feel isolated, and how come everybody else can do it? That's another thing. How come everybody else can do it? That comes in the comparison thing. And I can't seem to do it. When people who have known me forever, they're like, "You napping?" I'm like, I know. Our health is important. But if you try to do that when you're busy, 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 and you're caretaking for everybody else, and you're doing for everybody else, you don't have time. You don't have time to get your supplements ready, to go to the grocery store, to get the food, to cook the food, to exercise, to sleep your 8 to 10 hours. Still don't do that. But I sleep 6 or 7, which is better than 4. Go to get a massage, go get your acupuncture, go to therapy, do all the things that you need to do to be healthy. It's impossible. I'm only working 2 days a week, and I find it very hard to do it even now. But I think what I'm taking away from all of this for myself is to recognize that resting is not a weakness. Resting doesn't mean that I'm unmotivated. Resting doesn't mean that I'm not driven. Resting doesn't mean that I don't care. Resting doesn't mean that I'm lazy. Resting means I'm taking care of my health. Resting means I'm listening to my body the way I should listen to my body. Not that it's easy. I will probably forever struggle with that. But I know the importance of taking care of myself. I know the importance of putting good food in my body. I know the importance of getting sleep. I know the importance of exercising. Everybody probably knows this saying, how do you eat an elephant? One chunk at a time. And I think that's where I'm at in my life, is the one chunk at a time. I can do my supplements now. I get that organized, because as you can imagine, I get my sleep. But sleep was really important. Sleep and being calm in my body. That was really important, because I felt like stress played such a huge role in my sickness and all of that over the last 5 years. So keeping my body calm is really important. And I do things like, writing. I'm writing my book. That is still happening. And that's the other thing too. The last couple of chapters I've been working on were really hard emotionally. And I think there's a part of me that needs to recognize that too, that there was a little bit of a shutdown because they were really hard to write. So I have to remember to give myself some grace around that. But writing is really great for me. I love hypnosis. I love listening to that in the morning to start my day. Sometimes if I wake up in the middle of the night, I turn it on and find one where I can lull back to sleep. So keeping my body calm is really important. Journaling is really important. One of my favorite exercise things in the world is my trampoline. I love it. I put on some pink and I dance on that thing for as long as I possibly can. That's the thing, is me finding the things that work for me right now and not the things that I think I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm not supposed to do an Ironman triathlon right now. I did that. And I, as though it was one of my absolute best days of my life, I loved every second of it. I was still running away or trying to prove something, prove myself, prove my worthiness, all of the things. Once you open your eyes to all that stuff, it really is like, whoa, have I been living in this kind of cloud forever? And you kind of have. The other thing I talk about trauma and resting too, and I know I've talked about this before, is that we just don't feel safe when we're resting, right? Because we feel vulnerable. We feel like, anything could come in and hurt us. We're letting our guard down. So that's another reason why rest can be really hard for people who have had traumatic events in their life. The emotions that come around rest, when you stop filling in the gaps of everything, filling in all the little holes, the time holes, and those emotions start coming out. The thing I want to say too, and I don't think I say this enough, is you don't ever have to relive your trauma. That's not what healing is all about. It's not about reliving and playing the story over and over again and talking about the same story. And this is what happened to me. And this is what happened to me. It's about recognizing the reactions that your body has when, you get like a trigger. And it could be as simple as a sound, a smell. I know I've talked about all kinds of things. Maybe when you walk into a hospital, you instantly start to panic because, you spent too much time in a hospital with somebody who was sick. So you start to get anxiety. You don't have to relive the time in the hospital with that person, but you do have to hone in to that piece of you that is fearful. That's where the healing is. And the first thing to do is to calm that nervous system down with some deep breathing, which I find is one of the best. I do it all the time. Another way that I keep my body calm. And that is the 4 breaths in, 4-second breath in, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, long exhale. Take your time and make some noise when it comes out. Sounds weird. It's like, sounds weird, right? Nobody wants to make noise, but you know what happens when the noise comes out? The emotions come out. My experience all the time when I'm in that situation. So it's not that we have to relive the trauma. We don't have to relive the story. We don't have to tell the story over and over again. That's why one-on-one therapy can be so hard for people who had trauma. And that was me. I did one-on-one therapy for 12 years. But I would go in and my body would be so tight. Like I would just be so tightly wound and protecting myself. That's why stopping or resting can be really hard for people who have had trauma. And I think that one of the things that we can do as people who have experienced trauma is just keep practicing. Maybe today you can only sit for a minute. Maybe next week you can sit for 3. Maybe next week you can sit for 5. And slowly get yourself into a resting place. And maybe just choose one thing every day that truly matters to you. And if that is going for a walk, that is what matters to you. If it means staying in bed an extra 15 minutes, then do that. Because the more you give your body and give yourself the stuff that it needs, the body mind is going to react in a positive way. That's just the way it goes. And if you do have that anxiety, that beating heart, that tightness, that breathing, that your jaw is clenched and your neck is tight, those are all cues to take a minute and slow down. My problem is my jaw was clenched, my shoulders were up to my ears, and my body was so tight my entire life that I never really noticed. I would put my head on the pillow and it would be like 3 inches off of the pillow. And even still, I have to like breathe and, settle into my bed at night. So it's practice. It's practice. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. And as I say to everybody, give yourself some grace, because that's the one thing I didn't do on Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, I was a little bit better, but Monday, I didn't give myself any grace. I was like, you're lazy. What's wrong with you? You should be able to do this. It's not a big deal. You just have a few tasks to do. Why can't you just record this podcast? I recorded it again Tuesday. I couldn't do it. I didn't have it in me. So here I am today. And hopefully it'll be out in the next couple days. And then I also realized that's okay too. That's okay. And if there's anybody out there that is mad because my podcast wasn't out on time, then that's on them. That doesn't have anything to do with me. But it's me that has to get over that, not disappointing people, making sure I show up for people. It's very important for me to never feel that I disappoint anybody. And, again, something I just have to dive deeper in and get to know a little bit better. Always something, right? So I want you to think about a couple things. I want you to pay attention to your body. And if it's clenched, you can't breathe, you're holding your breath, any of those, do that 4-second breath, 4-second in, 4-second hold, 4-second out, and with sound. You'd be amazed. And if you do that a few times, how calm your body gets. And pay attention to what emotions come up. For me, it's always sadness, because anytime I'm angry, it's just sadness. Anger covers up sadness, and anger is the easiest emotion to access, right? It's so easy for us to be angry. It's so easy for me to be angry. Like, boom, I'm angry. But sad is hard. Grieving is hard. So when I can take a minute and wipe out the anger as much as I can, it's the sadness always bubbles up, which is really important to get that out. It's really important. So I want you to pay attention to your body, and I'll probably talk about that in every podcast. And if you can get sick of it, you can just, put me on fast speed. I want you to ask yourself, what am I afraid of if I do slow down? What am I afraid of if I do take a day, an hour, a morning, and don't do anything? We don't have to earn people liking us. And sometimes when we're doing good or doing things that we think other people think we should do, we're trying to earn that being liked. For me, it's all of those: not being rejected, being liked, not disappointing. I always felt like I had to earn my value, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to say that, earn my value. How do you practice just being, just sitting, just being quiet instead of performing for other people? And so we don't know sometimes when we're doing that. But I would ask yourself, when you're doing something, is this what I want to do? Or is this what I think I should do? Or am I trying to make this person happy? Am I happy? That's what I want to talk about today, is resting, and how hard that is to rest when you've been in survival mode, fight or flight, overachiever, type A personality. And, we see on social media what we think we should be doing. The comparison thing comes in, and I am still learning. So I'm here for you if you need me. Again, I think it's really important for us to share our struggles, so we know that we're not alone. We look out there on social media and all you see is everybody's doing great and everybody's beautiful. Their skin is beautiful. Their hair is beautiful. Their clothes is beautiful. Their businesses are successful. Their relationships are perfect. Their kids are great. I guarantee if we walked into 80%, I'll say, of people's houses, that is not what we see on social media. It's not. So it's really important for us to share our struggles as well as our triumphs, so that we can feel connected, feel human, feel real. I do want to celebrate wins. I think that's really important. Something I never did either. Ever. Never celebrated my wins. I try to do that now. But anyways, who knows if those other 2 recordings will make it up anywhere. I'm going to say they were pretty lame, but it shouldn't be as difficult as it is for us to take care of ourselves, to put our health first, put our life first, because we don't get a redo. We don't get to do it over again. And if that's one thing that cancer has taught me, is we don't get a second chance. I woke up with cancer and I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to do everything different. I'm going to do this different, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then going through treatment, I'm like, if I can just get my body strong again, all I care about is being strong again so I can, ward off this cancer. But the reality is that you start to slip back and forget just how precious life is. So I have to keep reminding myself, and I keep journaling and writing and gratitude and what I'm grateful for. And I have to tell myself every day how grateful I am for my body, my gosh. And I still can fall into the trying to push myself or trying to push my body more than it should be, or not eating the best, or not exercising. Not exercising is really, really challenging right now. That piece of my life is challenging. My life was so scheduled for so long by so many things and other people that I don't want to schedule. I love my schedule for work, but I don't want this schedule of every day at 6 a.m. I want to be working out. I love my mornings. I love my coffee. My brain works better in the morning, so I love to work in the morning. It's learning how to exercise later or in the afternoon. I'm figuring that out. So that's kind of a struggle for me right now. But I have done a lot of good in a lot of different areas in my life. But at the same time, it shouldn't be that hard for us to take care of ourselves. And it is. So I'm going to ask you again to do one thing for yourself, one thing that feels good just for you, not for anybody else. And then I want you to think about how you would feel if you did slow down. And then I want you to think about when you slow down, because I have faith that you're going to slow down a little bit here and there, is those emotions that do come up. And if you have to journal about them, breathe, deep breathing, whatever you have to do, that'll calm that nervous system down and you'll feel better. So anyways, my friends, thank you for being here for the third time, even though you don't know it was the third time. And if anybody wants to reach out and share their struggle bus stuff, I am here for all of it. I would love to feel like I'm not alone. Thank you for your support. Thanks for listening. And I will see you next time on the Survivor's Chair. Thank you for tuning into the Survivor's Chair podcast. You can head over to my website, www.kimrussellpro.com. That's KIMRUSSELLPRO.com. You can catch up on my blogs. Follow me on social, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or TikTok. All the links will be in the show notes, and I'll see you next time in the Survivor's Chair.